Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Leadership Edge. I'm your host, Dr. P. Ronald Wilder. Well, happy Tuesday. I trust that your day has gone great and you are winding down, and no better thing to do than to sit back and enjoy your dinner and learn some leadership principles, things that'll help you grow and develop to give you that edge in your leadership portfolio. That's what the Leadership Edge is all about. Thank you so much for tuning in. In the comments, go ahead and comment. Let us know where you're watching us from, who you are. If you're Billy from Atlanta, say Billy from Atlanta. If you're Carol from Memphis, say Carol from Memphis. Wherever you're from, let us know. Now, you're watching this podcast, The Leadership Edge, on BGTV Studios, Facebook page, and YouTube channel. Go ahead, hit the like and the share button, follow, and all those things that I ask you to do. Amen. Please share it. Amen. So that we can, web can spread far and wide. And don't forget the YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button and subscribe to BGTV Studios YouTube channel. You do that, you'll have access to all of the podcasters. There are many great podcasters on this platform. It has grown tremendously. When I first started a little over a year ago, there were only 4 of us podcasters. I think now we're upwards of 25, maybe heading toward 30, and I'm sure others are waiting in the wings. So it's growing and expanding. And so when you subscribe, you can go back and listen to all the great podcasters. We all have different graces on our lives, and we come from different angles and different subject matters and different genres. But it gives you a well-rounded menu of things to listen to and be blessed from. All right, the Leadership Edge. We just talk leadership. That's all we do. We don't get into a whole lot of other stuff. We're not here to exegete scriptures and dissect scriptures. We're not here to get into politics and all those things. We just talk about how you can be a better leader and what are the things that you need to do to get that edge you need. So now let's talk leadership. We've been in a series. I hate to call it a series because I'm not preaching or anything like that, although I am a pastor. But we've been in a teaching, and I think today will be session 5 of it, and it's entitled, What Keeps Pastors Up at Night? What keeps pastors up at night? Now, I'm a senior pastor. In addition to being a leadership teacher and all of those things, a trainer, consultant, my primary function is I pastor a local church. Matter of fact, I pastor Covenant Church International right on Springville Road, right in Clay, about 2.5 miles from where I'm the studio where this podcast is being filmed at. So I'm very close to my church right here. And so that's what I do. And so having done that for 45 years of my life, I'm 65 now, so I started pastoring at 20. And so for the last 45 years, I have pastored. That's all I have known my adult life. I don't know anything else, how to do anything else. Don't want to know how to do anything else. I love doing this. I love people. I love training and developing people. I love watching people grow and become all that God wants them to be. But being a pastor, I understand the things I'm talking about, the things that keep us up at night. And again, I don't literally mean that we're up at night, can't sleep. It's a metaphor for what are the things that's on our heart that maybe we are a little worried about or concerned about, a little anxious about. And in some cases, we do be up at night and think about them, okay? Let's talk about it. Now, we gave you many, many points, and we don't want to go back over all of them, but I want to come to point number 10. I think last podcast we closed out by what happens if and when I'm not here, and we were talking there about succession, having a plan for things to carry on when you're not around. The next point is that keep pastors up at night is, what are we doing that sets us apart from other great churches? That is uniqueness. Remember, every one of these things that keep a pastor up at night has a question, and then that question defines what it is. So the question here is, what are we doing? What is my church doing? What is my ministry doing that sets us apart from other great churches? That is uniqueness. So we want to know what makes us unique. Why would people drive past all the other churches that they pass on the way to my church to get to my church? Okay? You know, sometimes how when you're hungry and you want something to eat, you may be heading to McDonald's, but you may pass Wendy's, Chick-fil-A first, and you never get to McDonald's. You stop there, okay? Same with church, People have, because Birmingham, the inner city of Birmingham, like most inner cities in America, is inundated with churches. Churches are everywhere, almost on every corner and every block. I think that is one of the great things of America is the freedom of worship. And so we have, years ago I had the privilege to visit Bogota, Colombia. This was probably in the early 2000s. And I went to Bogota, one of the large cities in the Western Hemisphere, millions of people. At the time, they had a church there that was one of the largest churches in the world. I don't know how they stand now. They had upwards of 300,000 people, okay? And we went to a conference they were having just to kind of study what they were doing and see if what they were doing was applicable to the soil here in America. Well, I spent a week in Bogota. Now, this is in the height of the cartels and the drug cartels, and they had just bombed the embassy and killed high-ranking officials months before we got there. So it was on high alert. It was, we saw guys at the hotel guarding with machine guns, stuff you would never see in America, that just kind of blew us away. And so it was just a different situation. The conference we went to, thousands of people there, great conference. But as we rode around Bogota all week long, the one thing that I did not see were many churches. Matter of fact, we rode around, I might have seen maybe, and this is maybe, in a church of 5 to 10 million people, I may have seen 6 or 7, maybe 10 churches, okay? Didn't see many at all. Totally different from America, totally different, all right? So come back home, go to Atlanta or come to Birmingham, and you might have 6 churches in 1-2 block radius. Birmingham has hundreds and thousands of churches. So imagine what other larger cities have. So that's one of the great things of America. But the point I'm asking is, what makes your church unique? Because in order for someone to come to your church, they got to pass other churches to get to you. So what's unique about you that will make them pass you? So if a person is looking to go to church that day, do they stop on the way to you and get detracted by one of the other places, like you were heading to McDonald's and you got stopped at Wendy's? But if McDonald's has some unique that you wanted, you had a taste for, then you would pass by everything else just to go get that. Church is the same way. Pastors wonder, what's unique about us? Why should people drive by other places? And you have to define that. What's unique about my ministry? And every church has its uniqueness. I do believe this. I believe that every situation is unique. And I think the worst thing we do is when everyone try to mimic and copy someone else. As individual human beings, God makes us all unique. Think about it. In every family. I think about my family. I got 2 other brothers. I got an older brother, Theodore. He's a judge. In Chester, South Carolina, I got a younger brother, Drake. He's a mortician in Charleston, South Carolina. He and my pastor. We all come from the same womb, the womb of my mother, Ida Wilder. We all got the same daddy, Theodore Wilder, okay? But yet we are all unique and different, okay? We have certain values that our parents put in us that we all carry and maintain to this day. But in terms of our personalities, in terms of how we view things, in terms of all of that, we are totally different. We are both all unique in our own way. Doesn't make one of us right, one wrong. We're just unique. Okay? Same with churches. Every church is like a fingerprint that's different. There's something unique about you. So you don't even have to copy no one else or try to be no one else. Find your uniqueness. And that's where your victory is. That's where the greatest blessings of God for you is. It's when you find your uniqueness. The problem is, rather than trying to do a lot of things well, focus on the few things you do well and perfect them. You ever heard the statement, he's a jack of all trades and a master of none? That's how some people are as churches, and I have been there, where we try to do everything good. Nobody does everything good. But if you look at the great companies, you'll find that they have found their uniqueness, and they perfect that. Let's take Chick-fil-A, for example. Chick-fil-A has found the uniqueness. They got 3 things that make them unique. Number 1, they specialize in chicken, and in the best chicken you can have. Now notice, they're not trying to do tacos, and they're not trying to do hamburgers. They're not trying to be a well-rounded fast food restaurant. They're not trying to minister to every taste bud you got. They got one thing, that's chicken. Chicken sandwich, chicken nugget, chicken strips, grilled chicken. They got however you want it, they got it. Okay? So they have mastered chicken. Okay? You don't see them trying to do burgers. They've never introduced a burger. They've never introduced a taco. Okay? They've never tried to do a chicken pizza. Okay? They stick to what they're good at. Their uniqueness is chicken. That's the first thing they're good at. Their second uniqueness is customer service. They are determined to give you the greatest customer service. Their people are always smiling. They're very efficient. They get you in and out. You come through the drive-through. They make everything convenient for you. That is their uniqueness. Huh? When I got the Chick-fil-A app, you know what I decided? I will never, ever in life go inside another Chick-fil-A. Not because nothing is wrong with it, but because the app makes it so convenient. I can be in my car, I can put my order in and hit that button, and they'll tell me we'll start your order when you get here. And when I get there, now they got a new thing at Chick-fil-A. If you got a mobile order through the app, they got a special line just for you. You ain't got to wait in the whole line with everybody. You go right through that line. That is their uniqueness. They have mastered and they have perfected it. And that's what they've done. Their third uniqueness is they close on Sundays. They honor God, and they decide I'm going to give our employees a day off, okay? They're not trying to make money all 7. And here's what the deal is. Think about this here. Chick-fil-A closes every Sunday. There are 52 Sundays in a year. So that means that McDonald's, Burger King, Subway, Captain D's, Wendy's, Hardee's, all these restaurants have 52 more business days than Chick-fil-A. They are open 365, okay? Okay, Chick-fil-A is open 365, minus 52, and that'll put us somewhere around what? 313, okay, 313. So Chick-fil-A, the other restaurants are open 365 days a year. Chick-fil-A is open 313. That'd be like saying they're open 2 months more. Yeah, 2 months more, because a month is 60 days. So that means that Chick-fil-A they open 12 months, Chick-fil-A open 10 months. So Chick-fil-A does more business, make more money in 10 months than they do in 12 months. Chick-fil-A makes more money, does more business in 313 days than they do in 365 days, because they have tapped into their uniqueness. You got to find out what is the unique thing about your church, what makes you unique, And you got to master that. Find out the one, two, maybe three, no more than three things that you do extremely well as a local church and master them. Now, there are other things you got to do, but you're not going to put all your energy there. You're just going to make sure they're at least average, but you're going to master the three things you're unique about. That's uniqueness. What sets us apart? What is your uniqueness? Find that out. Let's go to the next point. The next point, and what keeps pastors up at night, is, do leaders know my inner compass? Do my leaders know my inner compass? That's an issue of core values. In other words, do the people that I lead, do the leaders on my team, do they really know me? Do they know my values? Do they know what's core to me? Do they know my inner core values? Do they really know who I am? What drives me? What is my passion? What stirs me up? You know, Mary walked in the room pregnant with Jesus. Elizabeth is in the house pregnant with John the Baptist. Scripture tells us that when Mary walked in the room, John the Baptist on the inside of Elizabeth leaped. I believe he leaped because even as a baby in the womb, he recognized that Messiah, although he's in the womb too, had walked in the room. I call this something that makes my John the Baptist leap. So my question is, do my leaders know what makes my John the Baptist leap? Do they know what makes that thing on the inside of me jump, that drives me and that's passions me? Do they know really my inner compass? Do they know what I value? What's high priority to me? And not only do they know what I value, but do they also value what I value? That's what I need to know. Do my leaders know my inner compass? And you can tell that by how they function. You can tell that by how the things they do. But do they value what I value? Are they passionate about the things I'm passionate about? Are they motivated by the things I'm motivated about or by? Because if we're going to work together to not only build a great team, but to do things in the kingdom that's going to make a difference, to make a mark that cannot be erased, we got to value the same thing. I can't be one that values family, and family is low on their priority list. I can't be one that values relationship and covenant, and it's not even on the radar in their life, in their thinking. Has to be the merging of values. Has to be the merging of values. The next thing. How are we going to fund? This keeps passing us up. How are we going to fund this God-sized vision? Remember I told you earlier that your vision is always greater than the amount of money you have. That's the one thing about vision that I've seen consistently across the board in these 40 years, especially by men of God and women of God who are truly servants of God and those that God have called and chosen for this moment. They all have vision and great vision. But the common denominator is that they all have more vision than they have more money. And that's not a bad thing, because if you have more vision and have more money, it just simply means you got to trust, you got to depend on God, you got to put your faith in Him. So how are we going to fund it? The things we want to do, how are we going to fund this ministry? Because the issue is we have more vision than we have money. And it should always be like that. But vision brings the money. Because here's God. God is provision. Think about the word provider or provision. Provision means to provide for, but it's a combination of two words, pro and vision. God is provision. Pro means for, and there's the word vision. So God is for the vision. And because he's for the vision, he brings provision, okay? So provision has a twofold representation. Provision means giving you all you need for what you need, but provision, I'm for the vision. God is for the vision, okay? You want God for your vision. You want God to be provision. Be for the vision, God. Now, so because God is provision, that brings us to another point. And you have to know this and be convinced of this and have this settled in your spirit, that where God guides, he provides, okay? Wherever God guides, whatever God gives, if God gives you a vision and he guides you into a project and he guides you into something, he will provide. Where God guides, he provides. Now, the only thing God doesn't provide for is things he didn't guide you into, okay? That's why we got to make sure that in things we're doing, we're led by God. We got to make sure that we don't get into ourselves, you know. I heard a great bishop say once, he said, you know, God gives dreams, but sometimes men dream their own dreams. And so sometimes men dream dreams and do things and then get into trouble and want God to fund it. And God says, no, that's you. You did that. That's your Isaac. I mean, that's your Ishmael. You made that. That's born of your flesh, not my spirit. Okay? So we need God because the vision is vast and because the vision is great. We need God to reveal himself to us as El Shaddai and Jehovah Jireh. Now, what is El Shaddai? El means strong. Shaddai means breasty one. Combine that together, El Shaddai means that God is the God who's more than enough. He's the strong, breasty one who gives you everything that you need. He's the God that's more than enough, okay? Jehovah Jireh, the Lord, Jehovah is the Lord. Jireh means provider, the God who provides, okay? So to fund our God-sized vision, because, again, this keeps us up at night, we need God to manifest himself in our midst and to our people and to us to show us that he is El Shaddai and Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides, okay? So where God guides, he provides. Where God gives vision, he gives provision, okay? If it's God's will, then it's God's bill. Okay, I'll say that again. If what you're doing is God's will, then whatever you're doing is also God's bill. It's his job to pay for it. Okay? And so whatever he calls, he sustains. Whatever he raises up, he keeps. So you don't have to worry about provision. If you are sent by God, led by God, on God's assignment, he will always have a ram in the bush. He will keep provision where you need provision to be. That's just the God we serve. That's just how he does things. He does not put his name on stuff and then allow it to bring shame and degradation to his name, okay? All right, listen, my time is up for the day. We'll pick back up again on next week. Now, listen. Visit my website, www.pronaldwilder.com. It's popping on the screen there for you. There you'll be able to grab my book, The ABCs of Leadership, Personal Development, a book for personal principles for personal development. It's a great leadership book. It's about 10 years old now. This is the 10th year. Came out in 2015. And it is still relevant. Its principles are timeless, and you'll be blessed by it. Also, go to my shop page. Leadership teachings there. Best buy on my shop page is the bundle package here, this jump drive. And on this jump drive, it has every leadership teaching I have that's on my shop page. including my 2 newest releases, When Leaders Fail to Lead and In the Pressure Cooker. You can grab these. Everything is on here. If you download all the leadership individual teachings, it'll cost you well over $300. This sells for $100 on the website, so it's less than half, almost a third of what's there. Pick up the bundle package. Now listen, don't forget BGTV Studios. This is a tremendous platform that's been birthed that give guys like me and others who are on here, men and women, a voice, a platform to share their message and their passion. And so we appreciate BGTV Studios. But like any Christian endeavor, it takes resources. We just talked about that. God uses his people. I want you to consider giving to BGTV Studios either as a one-time gift, a generous gift, or becoming a monthly partner. The ways to give are online. You can give online to bgtvstudios.com, or you can text any amount to 84321. We'll be appreciated. This is good ground. You'll be blessing a great kingdom endeavor. 100% of your gifts go directly to BGTV Studios and its administration and the upkeep and the running of it. We, the podcasters, don't share in that, okay? So go ahead and let the Lord lead you and be a blessing to BGTV Studios. Listen, my time is up for this broadcast. I'll see you on next week. This is your host, Dr. P. Ronald Wilder, signing off, reminding you that leaders lead and leadership matters.